Hey everyone, I'm Nick,
I'm Vic.
and we're Envy Board Gaming. Today we're taking a look at Maul Peak. It's a game by Pencil First Games. It's a two-player game, about 40 minutes to play it. And we have designers Keith Mateka, Edo Baraf, and Dustin Fouts. We have already played this game. We've already done playthrough. We've done coverage before, so we don't have to do the rules. You can watch those videos if you want to know more about how the game plays. So we're going to jump into the review, the review portion that we always do. So this game, we did the preview for it, so we got sent a copy, disclaimer. We did not do a paid preview or anything like that, but they sent us the game for providing some coverage for that. So the first topic we always talk about is how does the game flow? Does it flow smoothly, fiddly, or whatnot?
I think it flows pretty smooth as long as I know what direction I'm going. That's really the only holdup I find is me trying to orientate myself. But I've improved on that. I understand that movement a little bit more, but I think it's very smooth. What about you?
It is a different board that you're used to, the way it's angled. So Vic gets a little confused with the slants and the moving vertically. It's not as straightforward as a one way that you would expect because of the way the board is slanted. For me, the game flow is very good. You play 3 actions. You can do a few bonus actions that aren't complicated. They're pretty self-explanatory. What you can do is in front of you. What your opponent can do is also in front of you. Well, not necessarily 3 actions. It depends on what player you're playing, but usually it's 3. If you're foxing, it's always not foxing. What are they? Grizzard. I always struggle with the name. They actually said how they wanted to say it. If you're them, you're always going to have the 3 actions, but different guardians have different actions. So yeah, straightforward. I think the game flow is good. Downtime.
Not much. Your people are making actions pretty snappy. You also want to watch to see what happens because if you're not focused on what they're doing, you want to be able to see what they've accomplished. But it's also, I didn't think that because the action turns are so quick.
Yeah, there's no. I'm trying to think of a situation. There's no like skill test or anything that holds up the game. It's you do your actions and they're pretty standard, nothing crazy. They have to resolve a bunch of stuff.
Right. I was gonna the actions aren't multi-part things that involve, you may have to when you first start when you're playing a different character, you may want to read through the first time you do an action, you're gonna read, what the ability is, but I don't think
mechanics, it's like a skirmish. I like it more than most skirmish games, to be honest, because I'm not too into skirmish games usually. This one is it's really entertaining, and it's different tactics every single time, it seems like. There's so many different ways to tackle different things, but the mechanics seem interesting.
I agree. I think that having the diversity of the hero cards that you get to play, and then at the same time the different objectives for the guardians.
Yes,
that's really interesting too, where they have different methods of winning, and that affects how the hero is going to play, and what maybe how the hero decides to combat some of those abilities.
Yeah, so I think if you like games that have player abilities make you unique, this game's full of that. It has uniqueness in the heroes, the players that the heroes get, the different types of heroes, all the guardians. Everything here has unique player abilities over and over and over again. It's really nice. So randomness. I mean, there's going to be card shuffling, right? So you might not have a hand that you can particularly use. There's going to be situations where you have movement cards that don't apply to you because you box yourself in a corner. That exists. There is some randomness. Now you can mitigate that by just discarding a card and drawing one. Depending on your player, what you can do. Sometimes you can discard 1 card and get 2 cards. Depends on what player you are. But you can cycle through the deck and get to the cards you needed. If you really need a mend, you can do that. You can also mitigate it with those the power. If you have power, you can do an action that exists.
Yeah, or rage cube.
So there's randomness, but there's also mitigation to it. Replayability.
High. I mean, we've already said there's so many different characters and guardians, like heroes and guardians to play, different methods of attack, and different ways to win. You can hand it over and play. All right, now you're going to be the guardian. I'll be the hero. Here you go. Oh, I'm going to try somebody different next. So you can actually get in multiple game sessions in one sitting. So I think
this is as replayable as like a game of Memoir 44 because you can switch sides just like that.
Yeah,
there's not as many maps, but there's so many different combinations you can do that I think it's just as replayable as a game like Memoir 44.
Yeah, and the fact that you get those cards, that it's very much like that.
Yeah, and now you can, if you have the other one, you can even combine it. So you can do different matchups at all. They even have a sheet that says if this is the matchup, this is what's going to happen.
How to do it, yeah. Because the other one was called Skull Hollow, and we have a review on that you can check out if you are curious about what game came before Maul Peak.
Yeah. Scalability, this one is an upgrade from the last one because the last one was only 2 players. Now if you have both, you can play it 4 players. This one is, if you just have Maul Peak, it is still a 2-player game, so it is a negative. You have to say it's a negative because it's only a 2-player game. It doesn't scale unless you have the other copy when it does scale. It's 2 to 4. So I think that's pretty straightforward. Scalability would be on the negative side, but it is straightforward. It's a 2-player game.
Yeah. Table hog, or how much time you, or the space you need on a table. I don't know what was the problem.
For a 2-player game, I think it's fairly big for a 2-player game.
Yeah, I guess because you have your own little player board, you've got the middle board, and you have also that the den where all the hero cards sit, and the monster, the guardian. Sorry, the guardian himself.
We just call monsters, but the guardian.
Bad guys.
Yeah, but it's worth it. It's not a straight up table hog, but for a 2-player game, it does take up quite a bit of size.
Right. Yeah, but that's okay. It's good.
How about the theme? Do you have any feelings on that?
No. I mean, this one is very clearly a winter game. There seems to be a winter theme throughout. You felt a little cold playing it, like, ooh, shiver. But I didn't detect a strong theme necessarily, but you do feel like you're duking it out with the person you're against, your opponent. You do feel that tug of war. Of, I did a melee strike on the guardian and disabled that action, but then you mend it right after, or I froze you unfroze. Like there's a lot of tug of war.
Yeah, it's a nice tug of war though. It's not as what you'd expect like from Twilight Struggle or Watergate or different tug of war games, Blitzkrieg. And so forth.
Because the game clearly the theme is that these, I don't know the backstory, but they're
right. I don't know lore. It's a more of a cute thing. How about that? Yeah. It's more cutesy. Yes, there's the bad guy and the good guys, but it's more cutesy with cutesy. Yeah, nice components and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love the little meeples and stuff.
The Tale of Presence is next. I think it's phenomenal. The Tale of Presence is really good. I love all the stuff that you get. That kind of coincides with components as well. But Tale of Presence is very strong when you have all this nice, great art and great graphic design. It does not all wordy text. It's just a little bit, here's what it does. Yeah. And have characters. Everything looks nice.
And also, I mean, everybody gets a copy of people's abilities. It's very thoughtful to show somebody to give a card to the opponent so that they can reference and they don't have to go, what are you doing? What? You can do that? You know exactly what the person can do, so you can make the best choices about what you're going to do based on how you know that now you don't know the cards in their hand, but you do know what they possibly could do.
And the next topic is similar to Tale of Presence. That's components. You have those huge chunky meeples that we got also in Skull Hollow. Very good for the Guardians. Everyone has their own tuck boxes, which I always love in games. When they have their own tuck boxes, I pull it out. This is everything that person needs to play. I think it's really, really, really strong on its components.
I agree. I really was impressed by the quality and the graphic design and the chunky meeples, the cute little hero meeples. I always like that. I love the idea of this board that you leap onto for the Guardians and going on and seeing your person actually on a representation of that Guardian. That's cool. I like that thoughtfulness instead of just like, you're laying hits on them. But that's cool, neat.
Yeah, also this is, yes, it's a crowdfunded version, but the components aren't going to suffer. So it's coming to retail, I believe, the day that we uploaded this in April. The exact day that this is uploaded, I believe it goes to retail. And that you're not going to get dinged on components. It's still going to be those great components that you got in Skull Hollow. Excellent meeples. They're really chunky, like I said, especially for the Guardians. So then we'll get into price value. I don't know what the retail is. It's coming out the day I upload this. And we got this as a copy. So I can't really speak to what the value. But I'll say that this game, since it's so replayable, the value is there. It's just a matter of I don't know the price. The value is there because you're going to replay it. You're going to sit there and replay it with your partner or whoever it is, the 2-player person that you always go to. Setup time. This is really good. Considering how much stuff is on the table, everyone has their own boxes.
Yeah, the tuck boxes help.
Yeah, the two players, the Guardian and the person that was with them, the Sentinel or whatever they call it in this game, they are always going to start in the same spot. The Guardian's going to start in the same spot. Yeah, I think the setup time's really good. Really good for this size of game. Game length, I said 40 minutes. That feels about right. Yeah. Yes, you could get it done earlier or later, depending on the wind condition, what you're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, Nick, last time I won said, took you that long? Didn't you win like 5
times
ago?
No, it was that turn because you played out your actions so slowly. Okay, you already knew you won.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't know.
Oh. Okay. I don't know how you didn't know. You needed 3 hits and you had 3 hits in your hand. So I was like, Why is it taking so long? It's kind of like when you're playing poker and you're kind of milking it with aces.
I milked it with aces.
Yeah. All right. Complexity low.
Yeah, not too complex. Once you can figure out the movement and what direction you're going, I think that's the hardest part for me to understand. But once I saw it from the perspective of
putting the card down.
Putting the card down helped, and then I had to stop doing that because that's also terrible. You don't want to be like, oh, I have this card and then I have this one. You don't want your opponent to see what you're planning to do. So that was once I really got a handle of what perspective I was coming from, and Nick pointed out some different things about the cards that kind of try to help with that. That was about the most complex part.
Yeah, that and where do actions take place? They have to be on the ground space.
Right.
They have to be here, like in the surrounding space. So there's different terms for that.
But I think that they have done a good job of having a player reference cards on your game board, and they use particular words that can really help you eliminate the ambiguity of what is being said here. When they're saying, the hero on the ground. Okay, the ground.
Yeah, so, the game does not leave you high and dry.
Yeah. Well, we're flipping through furiously through a book, and we didn't find that.
Fun factor.
So fun. I love having a one-on-one game with Nick. He tends to win these kind of games. But
finally got a dub, though.
Yay.
That was your first one? No, maybe second.
Maybe second.
Yeah.
And he doesn't let me win. If you know us, he doesn't let me win. So, right?
Yeah. we go back and forth. So the last ones we played were they were the same Guardian. We just switched them up. But before, when we were previewing the game, we had to play all of them. Every single character I've played. And they all offer something completely unique that keeps it fun. It keeps it interesting. Like, oh, okay, now this matchup, what do I want to do here? The thing that's most gratifying about the game is because right at the beginning, you're kind of leaning one way or another. Do I want to, if I'm the Guardian, do I want to just destroy all the heroes, or do I want to do this special thing that's a different win condition for this? Right. What's going to be easier? What's going to be my best road to victory? Once you start on one, you probably don't want to give up on it. You want to keep aiming that unless you say
stay the course.
Yeah, unless you think, okay, maybe it's not going to happen. So there are interesting decisions all the time. Discarding cards to draw more cards when you want to get through your deck. Even the cards that have double actions, you pick which one you want. Sometimes you want both, and you're like, oh, I want to gain a power, but I really want to do this leap. So then it forces you into these interesting decisions throughout the game. Really good.
Even orders of operations when you pair also the fact that the heroes have abilities at the bottom that you go, oh, when I leap, I can do a melee, or when you do a melee, you can leap, for instance, or you see something like that and you go, okay,
or
what's
cool
the
magic abilities.
Yeah,
keep the magic cards, and then like, oh, bam, I can do this now.
So I appreciate that. It definitely brings something new every time you play, and just a lot of fun.
Yep. And as far as improvements too, I like the rage. I like having that little currency as a Foxen, and also like that it matters when those characters die. Once they die, they're gone. They're not coming back. Once you get them, unlike Skull Hollow, which I believe you can cycle through. It's been a while since we played Skull Hollow. I believe those people can come back out. I could be wrong, but in this one, they're done. They're done. That's it. And it costs money it costs a little bit of currency, but you can generate that currency throughout the game.
Yeah.
I think it's all really good.
Yeah, I think you misspecied the Grizzers as being Foxens.
Yes, I may have done it a couple times.
That's all right. We're not always the best with our terms of calling things by what the game intends, and we do apologize. It's certainly not for lack of care.
However, I will say this. If you didn't really get into Skull Hollow, you're not going to like this, I don't think. It doesn't change the game in that way. Right. If you didn't like that, you're not going to like this. However you like this, I don't see how you wouldn't like this. It improves upon different things. Like I said, the heroes being valuable, like more valuable. The Grizzard are more valuable now because you don't want to lose them. Because once you lose them, they're gone. They're wiped off the board. And that's a win condition. You can get the Guardian can get rid of all of those and win. So it makes it more interesting to me in that regard. I think it improves a few things.
Yeah.
So overall, we're going to give our scores here.
I am scoring this one an 8.7. Really enjoy it. Love playing it. Just great game.
That went up significantly because when we played Skull Hollow, Vic wasn't like this. It just felt like she couldn't win. She just said that you felt like you couldn't win. You gave it 7-4. For me, so it doesn't have the charm that I first had when we played the Skull Hollow because that's the first of the series. It's oh wow, it's amazing. It's amazing. Now that a couple of years have passed and you know what to expect, so it takes away that. However, it adds more to it. So it makes it a little bit better game, a little tighter in different ways. So it kind of evens it out. I am going to give it the same exact score I gave Skull Hollow. It's an 8-9. A great 2-player game. I feel like you can have both, and you should, especially if you want to play 4 players. That's the only way it's possible. Otherwise, it's just going to be a 2-player game. If you don't have Skull Hollow, I would recommend getting Maul Peak, just because of the way that the heroes play. The Grizzer, the way that they play, I think is a little more interesting. And I mean, the monsters are new. It's the newer version. It's the 2.0. It's worth getting this one if you don't have Skulk. If you have Skulk, I still think this is worth getting, especially if you really like Skulk. If you are indifferent to Skulk, I think you're just good keeping that. But if you really like it and you want to add maybe some more players, another 2 players, and you can try to see how that works out. We've only got to play that once, but it was really good. Yeah, I think overall, great scores. We're at 8-9, and 8-7, really strong scores.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like, thumbs up, and subscribe for more great reviews. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.